Welcome to the Optimal Life Project After Dark series. Tonight, you're experiencing gentle truths about sleep and metabolism, designed to calm your mind and invite rest. There's nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to go. Your body has been preparing for this moment since you took your first breath. This isn't about trying harder or doing more. It's about discovering the quiet wisdom that lives in your cells, waiting patiently as you settle into stillness. Over the next hour and a half, we'll journey through the profound relationship between sleep, fat loss, and metabolic health. Not to control it, but to witness it. Not to force anything, but to recognize what's already unfolding. Every word is a gentle reminder that you are held, that your body knows its work, and that the restoration happening right now beneath your conscious awareness is precisely what you need. Let's begin. Picture your body as an intricate biological symphony, where thousands of metabolic processes perform their nightly concert. As you settle into sleep tonight, something remarkable begins to unfold. Your breathing deepens, slowing to a gentle rhythm. Your heart rate decreases, finding its most restful pace. And deep within your cells, an extraordinary transformation takes hold. One that shapes not just how you feel tomorrow, but how your body processes energy, burns fat, and maintains the delicate balance we call metabolic health. The connection between sleep and metabolism isn't a modern discovery, though science has only recently illuminated its profound depth. The human body has followed natural rhythms of rest and activity, and these patterns have shaped every aspect of how we process energy. Tonight, as you drift toward sleep, you're participating in a biological design, one that your cells understand completely, even if your conscious mind is only beginning to grasp its significance. Research studies indicate that when sleep becomes disrupted or insufficient, the metabolic consequences ripple through every system in your body. Based on what we know from controlled laboratory investigations, sleep deprivation appears to trigger a cascade of hormonal changes that favor fat storage over fat burning, increase hunger while decreasing satiety, and fundamentally alter how your body responds to the food you eat. These aren't theoretical concerns. They're measurable, observable phenomena that appear consistently across different populations and research settings. Consider the evidence from studies where healthy young adults were asked to sleep only 4 to 5 hours per night for several consecutive days. What researchers observed was striking. The participants' bodies began behaving as though they were in a state of energy crisis, even though they were being fed adequate calories. Their glucose metabolism changed in ways that resembled early-stage diabetes. Their appetite-regulating hormones shifted dramatically. And, perhaps most surprisingly, when they did lose weight during calorie restriction while sleep-deprived, research suggests they lost significantly more muscle and less fat compared to when they were well-rested. This could imply something profound about the biological design of sleep. Your body appears to use the hours of darkness not just for rest, but for critical metabolic recalibration. During the deep, restorative phases of sleep, research indicates that your body releases growth hormone in pulsatile surges, a hormone that studies show plays a crucial role in muscle maintenance, bone strength, and fat metabolism. During these same hours, your cortisol levels reach their lowest point, allowing inflammation to decrease and insulin sensitivity to improve. Let's explore the fascinating world of hormones that govern your appetite and how profoundly sleep influences their delicate balance. Two hormones in particular, leptin and ghrelin, act as the primary messengers that tell your brain whether you're hungry or satisfied. These aren't just abstract chemical compounds. They're the biological translators that help your brain understand what your body needs. Leptin, often called the satiety hormone, is produced primarily by your fat cells. Its message to your brain is simple. You have enough energy stored. You don't need to eat right now. You can feel satisfied. When leptin levels are appropriate, you can eat a meal and feel genuinely full, content to stop eating without that nagging sense that something's missing. This hormone is your ally in maintaining a healthy relationship with food and a balanced body composition. Ghrelin tells the opposite story. Produced mainly in your stomach, this hormone rises before meals and signals hunger to your brain. It's the biological nudge that reminds you it's time to refuel. In a well-rested body, ghrelin rises appropriately before meals, then falls after eating, creating a natural rhythm of hunger and satiety throughout the day. But here's where sleep enters this delicate hormonal conversation, and the research findings are remarkably consistent. Studies indicate that when you sleep fewer than 7 hours per night, leptin levels appear to decrease by an average of 15 to 18%. At the same time, ghrelin levels could potentially increase by 25 to 30%. Think about what this means in practical terms. Your body is receiving a dual signal of energy scarcity. The message saying you're satisfied grows quieter, while the message saying you need to eat grows louder. Research conducted at the University of Chicago demonstrated this phenomenon with striking clarity. When healthy young men were restricted to 4 hours of sleep for just 2 consecutive nights, their leptin levels dropped 18%, while ghrelin increased 28%. More revealing still, their reported hunger increased 24%. and they showed a 33 to 45% increase in cravings for calorie-dense foods, particularly those high in carbohydrates. From these findings, we can infer that sleep deprivation shifts your body into what resembles a state prioritizing energy conservation, one where storing energy becomes favored over expenditure. Studies suggest this isn't merely about willpower or self-control. When your sleep is chronically insufficient, research indicates you're working against powerful biological signals that appear deeply embedded in human physiology. Your brain is receiving compelling messages that your energy reserves are inadequate, that you need to eat more, and specifically, that you need quick, easily accessible calories. This pattern could help explain why sleep-deprived individuals, based on research observations, tend to gravitate toward sugary snacks, processed foods, and larger portion sizes, not because they lack discipline, but because their hormonal environment is actively promoting these behaviors. What makes this even more fascinating is that recent investigations have revealed these hormonal changes aren't uniform across all populations. Research published in Obesity found that the increase in Ghrelin after sleep loss was more pronounced in individuals with existing obesity, suggesting that those already struggling with weight may be more hormonally vulnerable to the effects of inadequate sleep. Similarly, the leptin changes appeared to be more marked in women, particularly postmenopausal women, based on what several studies have indicated. The temporal pattern of these changes also appears significant. Some research suggests that even a single night of total sleep deprivation can acutely raise ghrelin levels, while leptin seems to respond more strongly to chronic sleep restriction, multiple nights of shortened sleep. Drawing from these observations, it would appear that your body has different timescales for these hormonal responses, with some changes appearing quickly and others developing over time as sleep debt accumulates. But here's something encouraging to hold on to as you rest tonight. These changes aren't permanent. Research indicates that when adequate sleep is restored, leptin and ghrelin levels can begin normalizing relatively quickly. One study showed that after just 2 nights of recovery, sleep following a period of sleep restriction, hormone levels started moving back toward baseline. Your body wants to return to balance. It's designed for it. Sleep is the key that unlocks that restoration. As you settle more deeply into rest right now, imagine your fat cells beginning their nightly work of leptin production, the hormone gradually rising in your bloodstream, sending its message of sufficiency and satiety. Imagine your stomach, having been fed and nourished, allowing ghrelin levels to fall, releasing that constant signal of hunger. This is happening right now, beneath your awareness, as your body does what it was designed to do: restore, recalibrate, and prepare you for tomorrow. Now let's turn our attention to deep sleep and the remarkable metabolic restoration that research suggests occurs during those precious hours of slow-wave sleep. When you first fall asleep each night, your brain begins a carefully choreographed journey through different stages, eventually settling into what researchers call slow-wave sleep, or Stage 3 non-REM sleep. This is the deepest, most restorative sleep of the night, the phase where your brain produces large, slow electrical waves, and where some of the most profound metabolic work appears to take place. During these deep sleep stages, studies indicate that your body experiences a surge in growth hormone release. In fact, research shows that approximately 70 to 75% of your daily growth hormone secretion occurs during sleep, with the largest pulse typically appearing within the first few hours after sleep onset, coinciding with your first period of deep sleep. For years, the name growth hormone led many to assume this hormone was primarily relevant for children and adolescents. But recent research has revealed that growth hormone continues to play vital metabolic roles throughout adult life. Studies suggest this hormone actively promotes protein synthesis, the building and repair of muscle tissue. It appears to enhance lipolysis, the breakdown of fat stores for energy, and it may help regulate glucose metabolism and insulin sensitivity. Research from the University of California, Berkeley provided new insights into exactly how this works at the cellular level. Scientists there mapped the brain circuits that control growth hormone release during sleep and discovered a sophisticated feedback system. During deep non-REM sleep, they found that growth hormone-releasing hormone neurons become active, while somatostatin neurons, which normally inhibit growth hormone, decrease their activity. This creates a biological window where growth hormone can surge into your bloodstream. What makes this particularly relevant for fat loss and metabolism is the timing and the magnitude of this release. Based on experimental evidence, studies indicate that if you go to bed at your normal bedtime, you'll typically experience your largest growth hormone pulse about 60 to 90 minutes after sleep onset. But if you delay your bedtime significantly, research suggests this pulse is delayed as well, potentially reducing its overall magnitude. This could imply that consistent sleep timing, going to bed around the same time each night, may optimize this crucial metabolic signal. The research on what happens when deep sleep is disrupted is equally revealing. Studies where scientists selectively suppressed slow-wave sleep without reducing total sleep time found that participants became approximately 25% less sensitive to insulin, a change that, if sustained, could potentially increase diabetes risk. The amount of growth hormone released was markedly reduced, and perhaps most strikingly, when these sleep-disrupted individuals underwent caloric restriction, they lost significantly less fat and more muscle compared to when their deep sleep was preserved. This pattern has been observed across multiple investigations. Research published in the Annals of Internal Medicine followed participants through two different two-week periods, one with adequate sleep and one with restricted sleep, while they followed the same calorie-restricted diet. During the sleep-restricted period, even though total weight loss was similar, the composition of that weight loss shifted dramatically. Based on the study findings, participants lost 55% less fat and 60% more muscle during the sleep-restricted condition. Their metabolic rate appeared to slow, their feelings of hunger increased, and metabolically, their bodies seemed to be preserving fat while sacrificing muscle, the opposite of what anyone pursuing fat loss would want. The role of growth hormone in this process appears significant. Studies suggest that growth hormone helps preserve lean muscle mass during calorie restriction while promoting the mobilization of fat stores for energy. The mechanism seems to involve signaling to muscles that they should maintain their structural proteins rather than break them down for fuel. At the same time, research indicates it may encourage adipose tissue, your fat stores, to release fatty acids into the bloodstream where they can be oxidized for energy. Recent research has also illuminated interesting differences between men and women in how growth hormone responds to sleep. Studies indicate that women generally secrete growth hormone more evenly throughout the day, while men show more pronounced sleep-related pulses. However, both sexes appear to benefit metabolically from adequate deep sleep, and both experience reduced growth hormone when deep sleep is compromised. As you rest tonight, allowing yourself to sink deeper into sleep, your hypothalamus is orchestrating this intricate hormonal ballet. Your growth hormone-releasing neurons are preparing for their surge of activity. Your muscle cells are ready to receive the signals for protein synthesis and repair. Your fat cells stand ready to release stored energy when signaled. Everything is positioned, waiting for those hours of deep, undisturbed sleep to allow the process to unfold naturally. The rhythm of cortisol and its relationship to sleep represents another fascinating dimension of metabolic health. Cortisol has gained something of an unfortunate reputation as merely a stress hormone, but the reality is far more nuanced and interesting. Cortisol is essential for life. It helps regulate blood pressure, influences immune function, and plays a crucial role in how your body mobilizes and uses energy. The issue isn't cortisol itself. Research suggests it's the timing and pattern of cortisol that matters for metabolic health. In a healthy, well-rested body, cortisol follows a distinctive daily pattern. Studies indicate that levels are typically lowest around midnight. then begin rising during the second half of the night, reaching their peak approximately 30 to 60 minutes after you wake up. This morning cortisol surge appears to serve an important biological purpose. It helps mobilize energy, increases alertness, and prepares your body for the demands of the coming day. Then, throughout the day, cortisol levels gradually decline, reaching that nighttime nadir again as you prepare for sleep. This rhythm isn't arbitrary. Research suggests it serves as a master timing signal that helps synchronize your peripheral body clocks, the biological timekeepers in your liver, muscle, fat tissue, and other organs. Cortisol appears to act like a conductor for your metabolic orchestra, helping ensure that all your tissues are coordinated and working in harmony with the day-night cycle. But sleep disruption appears to alter this careful rhythm in ways that could have metabolic consequences. Studies examining the effects of sleep restriction have found that when people sleep significantly less than they need, cortisol levels in the late afternoon and early evening tend to become elevated. Instead of that gradual decline continuing toward the nighttime nadir, research indicates the slope flattens. Levels stay higher for longer. This pattern has been linked in some investigations to insulin resistance, increased appetite, and potentially increased abdominal fat storage. Research published in the journal Sleep and multiple other peer-reviewed journals has examined this phenomenon across different populations. What appears to emerge is that sleep restriction of approximately 4 to 5 hours per night for several consecutive days may increase evening cortisol by 20 to 30% compared to adequate sleep conditions. While 24-hour total cortisol doesn't always change dramatically, this could imply that the redistribution of when cortisol is elevated, having it high when it should be low, might be metabolically significant. Why might evening cortisol elevation matter for fat loss and metabolism? Based on what research suggests, cortisol appears to have several effects that could influence body composition. Studies indicate it may reduce insulin sensitivity, meaning your cells become less responsive to insulin's signal to take up glucose from the bloodstream. This could potentially lead to higher blood sugar levels and increased insulin secretion, which in turn may favor fat storage, particularly in the abdominal area. Cortisol also appears to interact with other metabolic hormones in complex ways. Based on current evidence, it seems to influence how your body partitions nutrients, whether incoming calories get directed toward muscle building, fat storage, or immediate energy use. Chronically elevated cortisol has been associated in some studies with increased appetite, particularly for calorie-dense comfort foods, and it may influence where your body stores fat, with some research indicating that elevated cortisol could preferentially promote visceral fat accumulation, the deep abdominal fat that appears particularly associated with metabolic health risks. The relationship between cortisol, sleep, and stress creates an interesting feedback loop that research has begun to illuminate. Poor sleep appears to activate stress response systems, which elevates cortisol. But elevated cortisol, particularly in the evening, may make it harder to fall asleep and could reduce deep sleep quality. This creates what some investigators have described as a bidirectional relationship. Poor sleep disrupts cortisol patterns, and disrupted cortisol patterns further impair sleep quality. But, as with the other hormones we've explored, the encouraging news from research is that these patterns appear reversible. Studies suggest that when people return to adequate sleep after a period of restriction, evening cortisol levels can normalize relatively quickly, sometimes within just a few nights. The slope of the daily cortisol rhythm can regain its normal pattern. Your body's stress response systems can recalibrate. Tonight, as your cortisol naturally reaches its lowest point, your body is given permission to truly rest. Without the activating signal of cortisol, your blood pressure can decrease to its nighttime low. Your immune system can shift toward repair and regeneration rather than high alert. Your insulin sensitivity can improve. Everything becomes quieter, calmer, more conducive to the deep restoration that appears to be sleep's primary biological purpose. Insulin sensitivity and glucose metabolism represent another crucial intersection where sleep and metabolic health appear intimately connected. Insulin is the hormone your pancreas releases after you eat, particularly when you consume carbohydrates that raise your blood glucose. Its job is to act like a key, unlocking your cells so they can absorb glucose from your bloodstream and use it for energy. In a metabolically healthy state, your cells respond readily to insulin's signal, a condition researchers call insulin sensitivity. But studies indicate that sleep plays a remarkably powerful role in maintaining this insulin sensitivity. Research has consistently shown that even modest sleep restriction, reducing sleep from 8 hours to 5 or 6 hours per night, appears to reduce insulin sensitivity by approximately 15 to 30% in just a few days. To put this in perspective, some studies suggest this reduction is comparable to the difference in insulin sensitivity between healthy individuals and those with impaired glucose tolerance or early diabetes. One landmark study from the University of Chicago followed healthy young men through 2 different conditions. In one condition, participants slept 8.5 hours per night. In the other, they slept only 4 hours per night. The difference in how their bodies handled glucose was striking. After sleep restriction, research indicates it took them approximately 40% longer to regulate blood sugar after a high-carbohydrate meal. Their pancreases had to secrete about 30% more insulin to achieve the same glucose control. Essentially, their bodies were behaving, at least temporarily, as though they had a form of insulin resistance. What makes this particularly relevant for fat loss is how insulin resistance affects the way your body handles calories. When your cells are insulin resistant, research suggests that glucose has difficulty entering muscle and liver cells where it could be used for energy or stored as glycogen. Instead, studies indicate the body may be more likely to convert that glucose to fat and store it in adipose tissue. At the same time, insulin resistance appears to make it harder for fat cells to respond to signals that would normally promote fat mobilization and burning. The mechanism behind sleep's influence on insulin sensitivity appears to be multifaceted, based on what research suggests. Part of the effect seems to involve the sympathetic nervous system, the branch of your nervous system responsible for activating your fight or flight response. Studies indicate that sleep deprivation appears to increase sympathetic nervous system activity, which may interfere with insulin signaling. Changes in cortisol patterns, which we discussed earlier, could also play a role, as elevated evening cortisol has been linked to reduced insulin sensitivity the following morning. Research examining subcutaneous fat cells, the fat just beneath your skin, has provided fascinating insights into how sleep restriction might affect metabolism at the cellular level. When scientists biopsied fat tissue from participants after adequate sleep versus restricted sleep, they found that sleep restriction appeared to reduce the activity of proteins involved in insulin signaling within those fat cells. This could imply that inadequate sleep may impair insulin sensitivity, not just at a whole body level, but within individual cells and tissues. The glucose tolerance aspect is equally compelling. Research using formal glucose tolerance tests, where participants consume a standardized amount of glucose and then have their blood sugar monitored, has revealed that sleep-restricted individuals appear to clear glucose from their bloodstream more slowly and with higher peak glucose levels. Studies suggest this isn't just because they're secreting less insulin. Rather, the insulin they do secrete appears less effective at lowering blood glucose. For women, recent research has provided some particularly relevant findings. A study published in 2023 followed healthy women through 6 weeks of adequate sleep versus 6 weeks, where their sleep was reduced by 90 minutes per night. Even this relatively modest sleep reduction increased fasting insulin by approximately 12% overall, and by more than 15% in premenopausal women. Insulin resistance increased by nearly 15% overall, and by over 20% in postmenopausal women. What made these findings especially notable is that they occurred independent of any changes in body fat. The sleep restriction appeared to directly impair insulin sensitivity, not simply through weight gain. But once again, the research offers hope for restoration. Studies examining recovery from sleep debt have found that when adequate sleep is restored, insulin sensitivity can begin improving within days. One investigation showed that after just 2 nights of 10-hour sleep opportunities following sleep restriction, insulin sensitivity had partially recovered, though it hadn't completely returned to baseline, suggesting that chronic sleep debt might require sustained recovery sleep to fully reverse its metabolic effects. As you rest tonight, your pancreas isn't working overtime to secrete insulin. Your cells are ready and responsive to insulin's signal. Your liver is restoring its glycogen stores. Your muscle cells are recovering their insulin sensitivity. The metabolic machinery that governs how your body handles the carbohydrates you'll eat tomorrow is being recalibrated during these hours of darkness, preparing you to process nutrients efficiently and maintain stable blood sugar throughout the day ahead. The circadian rhythm, your body's internal 24-hour clock, represents perhaps the most fundamental timing system governing metabolism. Deep in your brain, in a tiny cluster of cells called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, your master circadian clock resides. This biological timekeeper receives information about light and darkness from your eyes and uses that information to orchestrate rhythmic patterns in virtually every cell and organ in your body. Research indicates that your metabolism isn't constant throughout the day and night. Rather, studies suggest it follows circadian patterns that appear optimized for different metabolic processes at different times. During the daytime hours, when you're typically active and eating, your body appears geared toward nutrient processing, energy expenditure, and activity-related metabolism. During nighttime hours, when you would traditionally be asleep and fasting, research suggests your body shifts toward processes of repair, restoration, and the mobilization of stored energy. The timing of sleep relative to your circadian rhythm appears remarkably important for metabolic health. Studies examining shift workers, people who regularly work at night and sleep during the day, have provided compelling evidence of this. Research indicates that shift workers show higher rates of obesity, type 2 diabetes, and metabolic syndrome compared to day workers, even when controlling for factors like total sleep duration. This could suggest that it's not just how long you sleep, but when you sleep relative to your circadian biology that matters for metabolism. One fascinating line of research has examined what happens when people eat at unusual times relative to their circadian clock. Studies where participants ate identical meals but at different times of day found that the same food produces different metabolic responses depending on when it's consumed. Based on this research, eating late at night, when your circadian system is promoting sleep rather than food processing, appears to result in higher blood glucose responses, reduced fat oxidation, and potentially increased fat storage compared to eating the identical food earlier in the day. The mechanism appears to involve peripheral circadian clocks, the biological timekeepers within your liver, pancreas, fat tissue, and other organs. Research suggests these peripheral clocks regulate when digestive enzymes are produced, when your pancreas is most responsive and ready to secrete insulin, and when your fat cells are more likely to store versus release energy. When you sleep at irregular times or eat at times when your biological clocks aren't expecting food, studies indicate this can desynchronize these peripheral clocks from your master brain clock, creating what researchers call circadian misalignment. Evidence from carefully controlled laboratory studies has illuminated just how powerful this circadian timing can be. In one investigation, research subjects were placed on a 28-hour day where their sleep-wake cycle was forced out of alignment with their internal circadian rhythm. Even though their total sleep duration remained constant and their diet was controlled, this circadian misalignment alone appeared to reduce the efficiency of glucose metabolism, alter the timing of hormone secretion, and shift when the body preferred to burn carbohydrates versus fats. For fat loss specifically, research suggests the circadian system may influence something called metabolic rate variability, the way your resting metabolic rate changes throughout the day. Studies using whole-room calorimetry have found that your metabolic rate appears to naturally peak in the late afternoon and reach its lowest point in the early morning hours. This could imply that your body burns more calories at rest at certain times of day simply due to circadian rhythms, independent of activity or eating. The interaction between sleep timing consistency and metabolic health has also emerged as an important area of investigation. Research on something called social jet lag. The difference between your sleep schedule on work days versus free days has found that people with greater social jet lag appear to have higher body mass indices and increased metabolic syndrome risk, based on what studies suggest. This could mean that the regularity and consistency of when you sleep may matter almost as much as the total duration. Recent findings have also illuminated sex differences in circadian metabolism. Some research indicates that women may experience a shorter natural circadian period than men, and the female circadian clock appears to be more sensitive to light exposure. These differences might help explain why some studies suggest women and men show somewhat different metabolic responses to sleep timing disruptions, though both sexes appear to benefit from consistent circadian-aligned sleep schedules. The encouraging implication from this research is that aligning your sleep schedule with your natural circadian rhythm, going to bed and waking at consistent times, getting morning light exposure, avoiding bright light in the evening, could potentially enhance your metabolic health, independent of changing how long you sleep. Your body appears designed to function optimally when its internal biological rhythms are synchronized and predictable. Tonight, as you settle into sleep at a time when your biological clock is promoting rest, you're supporting that natural synchronization. Your liver's circadian clock can time its metabolic processes appropriately. Your pancreas can calibrate its insulin responsiveness. Your fat cells can align their patterns of storage and release with the broader rhythms of your physiology. Everything works more harmoniously when the timing is right. Sleep quality, rather than just sleep quantity, represents another nuanced dimension of how sleep affects metabolism. You might spend 8 hours in bed, but if that sleep is fragmented, frequently interrupted, or lacking in deep restorative stages, research suggests the metabolic benefits may be substantially reduced compared to 8 hours of consolidated, high-quality sleep. Studies examining sleep architecture, the specific stages and patterns of sleep throughout the night, have revealed that different sleep stages appear associated with different metabolic processes. Deep non-REM sleep, as we've discussed, appears crucial for growth hormone release and appears to support insulin sensitivity. REM sleep, the stage where most vivid dreaming occurs, shows increased brain activity and energy metabolism, and some research suggests it may play distinct roles in metabolic regulation and appetite control. Investigations into sleep fragmentation have provided particularly revealing insights. When researchers experimentally disrupted participants' sleep by waking them briefly throughout the night, reducing deep sleep without significantly reducing total sleep time, they found that insulin sensitivity decreased substantially. One study showed that just 3 nights of selective slow-wave sleep suppression appeared to reduce insulin sensitivity by approximately 25%. Similar to the reduction seen with total sleep deprivation. The relationship between sleep quality and body composition has also emerged in research findings. Studies suggest that people who report poor sleep quality tend to have higher percentages of body fat and lower lean muscle mass, even when controlling for factors like age and total sleep duration. This could imply that the architecture and quality of sleep may influence not just how much weight you lose, but what type of tissue you lose, whether it's primarily fat or muscle. Research on sleep disorders has further illuminated these connections. Obstructive sleep apnea, a condition where breathing repeatedly stops and starts during sleep, causes severe sleep fragmentation and reduced oxygen levels. Studies indicate that people with sleep apnea show markedly higher rates of insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, and obesity compared to those without the disorder, even when matched for body weight. Treating the sleep apnea and improving sleep quality appears in some research to improve metabolic markers, suggesting a direct causal pathway. The role of REM sleep, specifically in metabolism, has become an interesting area of inquiry. Research examining leptin levels throughout the night found that a higher percentage of REM sleep was associated with greater overnight reductions in leptin, which might sound counterintuitive, but could reflect normal, healthy leptin regulation. Some studies have also indicated that REM sleep deprivation in animal models leads to increased metabolic rate, but paradoxically, also to weight gain, suggesting complex regulatory pathways we're still working to understand. Recent investigations have begun examining whether improving sleep quality through behavioral interventions, better sleep hygiene, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, treatment of sleep disorders can enhance weight loss efforts. While the research is still evolving, some studies suggest that addressing poor sleep quality in individuals attempting weight loss appears to improve outcomes, enhance adherence to dietary recommendations, and may help preserve lean muscle mass during calorie restriction. The measurement of sleep quality has also become more sophisticated with wearable technology. Studies using these devices have found that metrics like sleep efficiency, the percentage of time in bed actually spent asleep, and the consistency of sleep timing appear correlated with metabolic health markers. This could provide practical ways for individuals to track and optimize their sleep quality beyond just counting hours. As you rest tonight, hopefully experiencing continuous, undisturbed sleep, your brain is cycling through the stages it needs. Your deep sleep periods are allowing growth hormone to surge. Your REM periods are supporting neural processes that may help regulate appetite tomorrow. The quality of this rest, its depth, its continuity, its natural architecture, is supporting metabolic restoration in ways that fragmented, disrupted sleep simply cannot replicate as effectively. Let's now explore practical strategies for optimizing sleep to support fat loss and metabolic health. The research we've explored points toward several actionable approaches, and the encouraging news is that even modest improvements in sleep duration and quality appear to produce measurable metabolic benefits. The foundation appears to be consistency. Studies examining sleep regularity have found that people who go to bed and wake up at consistent times, even on weekends, show better metabolic health markers compared to those with highly variable sleep schedules. Research suggests aiming to keep your sleep-wake schedule within about a 1-hour window, even on free days, to maintain circadian alignment. The duration target that emerges from research is approximately 7 to 9 hours per night for most adults, though individual needs vary. Studies have consistently found that both short sleep duration, less than 6 hours, and potentially very long sleep duration, more than 9 or 10 hours, are associated with increased metabolic health risks, based on what the evidence suggests. The metabolic sweet spot for most people appears to be in that 7 to 9 hour range. Light exposure timing represents another evidence-based strategy. Research indicates that getting bright light exposure in the morning helps anchor your circadian rhythm and may improve evening sleepiness. Studies suggest even just 10 to 15 minutes of outdoor light exposure within an hour or two of waking can be beneficial. Conversely, reducing bright light exposure, particularly blue wavelength light from screens, in the evening hours appears to support melatonin production and may improve sleep onset based on what investigations have found. The sleep environment appears to matter more than many people realize. Research examining optimal sleep conditions has found that cooler room temperatures, approximately 60 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit, appear associated with better sleep quality and potentially enhanced metabolic rate during sleep. Darkness seems important. Studies suggest that even dim light exposure during sleep may disrupt sleep architecture and potentially affect glucose metabolism. Quiet environments or consistent white noise appear conducive to more consolidated, less fragmented sleep. Pre-bed routines have also gained research support. Studies suggest that having a consistent wind-down routine signals to your body that sleep is approaching. This might include dimming lights, avoiding stimulating activities, perhaps engaging in gentle stretching or relaxation practices. The key appears to be consistency. Doing similar things at similar times each night to establish strong sleep associations. Evening eating timing has emerged as another area where research provides guidance. Studies examining late-night eating have found that consuming large meals or significant calories close to bedtime appears associated with reduced sleep quality and may impair overnight metabolic processes. Research suggests finishing eating at least 2 to 3 hours before bed may be optimal, allowing blood glucose and insulin levels to decline before sleep onset. Caffeine timing also appears significant. Studies on caffeine's half-life, how long it stays in your system, suggest that consuming caffeine within 6 to 8 hours of bedtime could potentially disrupt sleep architecture, even if you're able to fall asleep. Research indicates that people often underestimate how much caffeine affects their sleep quality, as the disruption may not prevent sleep onset, but could reduce deep sleep percentage. Alcohol represents an interesting case that research has examined extensively. While alcohol may help some people fall asleep faster, studies consistently show that it appears to fragment sleep in the second half of the night, reduce REM sleep, and may impair overnight metabolic processes. Research suggests that if alcohol is consumed, doing so with food and completing consumption several hours before bedtime may minimize sleep disruption. Physical activity timing has also been investigated. Research generally indicates that regular exercise appears to improve sleep quality, but the timing matters. Studies suggest that vigorous exercise within an hour or two of bedtime could potentially interfere with sleep onset for some people. Though moderate exercise, walking, or gentle movement appears generally beneficial whenever performed. Stress management represents another dimension where research points towards sleep and metabolic benefits. Studies examining relaxation practices, meditation, deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, have found that these approaches appear to reduce evening cortisol, improve sleep quality, and may support better metabolic regulation. The mechanism could involve reducing sympathetic nervous system activation and promoting the parasympathetic state more conducive to sleep. For individuals struggling with persistent sleep difficulties, research indicates that cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia appears highly effective and may produce lasting improvements. Studies suggest this approach, which involves addressing thoughts and behaviors around sleep, can be as or more effective than sleep medications and appears to improve not just sleep, but also metabolic markers in some investigations. The encouraging theme throughout all this research is that sleep improvements appear to produce measurable metabolic benefits relatively quickly. Studies have shown insulin sensitivity improvements within days of extended sleep, appetite hormone normalization beginning after just a few nights of recovery sleep, body composition benefits emerging over weeks to months of consistently adequate sleep. These aren't changes that require extraordinary willpower or dramatic lifestyle overhauls. They're often modest adjustments, going to bed 30 minutes earlier, dimming lights in the evening, getting morning sunlight, maintaining a consistent schedule. Research suggests that these small, sustainable changes can accumulate into meaningful metabolic improvements. As we bring this exploration to a close, let's rest in the profound simplicity of what the research tells us. Sleep isn't separate from metabolism. It's central to it. Your body's ability to maintain a healthy weight, process nutrients efficiently, and keep metabolic hormones in balance appears fundamentally intertwined with the quality and quantity of your sleep. The science we've explored tonight reveals a biological design where sleep serves as the master regulator, the nightly reset the foundation upon which metabolic health is built. During these hours of darkness and rest, research suggests your body recalibrates the hormones that govern hunger and satiety. It releases the growth hormone that preserves muscle and supports fat burning. It lowers cortisol and reduces inflammation. It restores insulin sensitivity, so your cells can respond appropriately to the food you'll eat tomorrow. It synchronizes your internal biological clocks, so all your organs work in metabolic harmony. When sleep is disrupted or insufficient, studies indicate that these carefully orchestrated processes become dysregulated. Hormones shift in ways that favor fat storage over fat burning. Appetite increases while satiety decreases. Insulin resistance can develop surprisingly quickly. The body begins operating in a state that appears designed for survival and energy conservation rather than maintenance and optimal function. But the research also provides tremendous hope. These changes appear largely reversible. Your body wants to return to metabolic balance, and adequate sleep appears to be one of the most powerful tools available for supporting that restoration. Not a supplement, not a special diet, not an intensive exercise program. Simply allowing your body the 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep that research suggests it needs. Tonight, as you've been resting and listening, those restorative processes have been unfolding. Your growth hormone has surged during your deep sleep cycles. Your cortisol has reached its nighttime low. Your insulin sensitivity has been improving. Your leptin and ghrelin are finding their appropriate balance. Your circadian clocks are synchronizing with the darkness and the approaching light of dawn. You don't need to control these processes or force them to happen. They're part of your biological design, patiently waiting for the conditions that allow them to unfold. Conditions that are being met right now as you rest. Your body knows what to do. It's been doing this work every night of your life, asking only for the opportunity that adequate sleep provides. As you move forward from tonight, carry this understanding with you. Prioritizing sleep isn't an indulgence or a luxury. Research suggests it's a fundamental pillar of metabolic health. When you choose to go to bed at a consistent time, when you create an environment conducive to deep restorative sleep, when you protect those precious 7 to 9 hours, you're supporting every aspect of your metabolism in ways that no diet or exercise program can replicate on their own. The path to improved metabolic health and sustainable fat loss doesn't have to be complicated. It might start simply with honoring your body's need for sleep, with recognizing that the hours you spend resting are as important as the hours you spend active, with understanding that the investment you make in sleep quality pays dividends throughout every system in your body. Your body is remarkably resilient, remarkably designed for health and balance. Studies suggest it's ready to return to optimal metabolic function when given the conditions it needs. And one of the most powerful conditions you can provide is consistent, adequate, high-quality sleep. So rest well tonight and every night. Trust the restorative processes unfolding in your cells. Honor the biological design that ties sleep so intimately to your metabolic health. And know that with each night of quality rest, you're supporting your body's natural wisdom, allowing it to do what it was meant to do: maintain balance, burn fat efficiently, process nutrients appropriately, and support your health for all the years ahead. If you found value in tonight's exploration of sleep and metabolism, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the Optimal Life Project. Your support helps us continue creating evidence-based content that honors both science and the wisdom of rest. And if there's a particular topic you'd like us to explore in a future After Dark episode, please share your thoughts in the comments below. Until we meet again, sleep well and trust in your body's remarkable capacity for restoration. Good night.